Well, hello and good day to you guys. Brian here at 3Tier, here to give you one of my requested top list videos to share for you guys today. Now, 2018 has been a phenomenal year for gaming, but as I can't help but shake this feeling when I look back that there are just so many games in the past that I think that despite their status and, even some of their sales numbers, should have gotten a sequel, or at least I would like a sequel too. And I'm glad to see that I wasn't the only one who thought of this, because Ace Arcade requested this video, one of my standard viewers for some time. So for this particular video, I'm just going to go over the top 5 games that I would have liked to have seen a sequel for. But unfortunately, chances are we will never actually see them, which sadly breaks my heart. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into this list by starting off with number 5. Number 5 on my list remains to this day to be one of my all-time favorite racing games of all time, and that is Split Second. Now, chances are that most of you probably don't remember anything about this title, but this racing game still has one of the most unique concepts I've ever seen. It centers on racers taking part in a reality TV show in which they are racing for money, but what makes these races different than any other is how much you can actually weaponize the racetrack itself. As you race throughout the large variety of different racetracks, you will be able to build up your power play meter. Once you have built up your meter to one of the 3 different levels, you can then activate an environmental hazard which has the chance to destroy one of the other drivers. You can cause gas stations to explode. You can cause a wrecking ball to come down throughout the track. You can blow up walls to open up shortcuts to help you take the lead. And some of these power plays are so powerful that you can literally change the track itself, like bringing down an entire tower to destroy half of the original track, forcing you and the other drivers to have to go across an airport runway in which you can then call down a plane to destroy everything in its path. To me, this form of taking down the other drivers is way more interesting than simply ramming your opponents, as would be the case of games like Burnout, because it forces you to have to stay on your toes at all times and adapt to the situation in the moment, as the other drivers can activate environmental hazards against you as well. So sometimes being the first place isn't always the best approach in these kind of races. Number 4 on my list is a title that I originally did not expect to enjoy as much as I did, and that is Metal Gear Rising. Being a massive Metal Gear Solid fan, I was really skeptical that this franchise could work as a hack and slash, but I'm glad I was proven wrong because this game was awesome. While I don't view the game's story as being canon and being more of a what-if scenario, but a solid one, having the game focus on Raiden in this new fast-paced hack-and-slash action style really makes the game stand apart from every other entry in the franchise. All of the slowed-down cutting gameplay element was something that at the time I found really unique, because nearly everything in the game can be cut in any way you want. The boss fights were also some of the most unique and entertaining fights that you will ever see throughout the entire franchise. The soundtrack also enhanced all of the overall fast-paced gameplay. It's just a shame that we will never see another one of these games, since Konami is run by a bunch of incompetent executives. All I can do is hope that this company goes under, thereby forcing them to have to sell the rights to this awesome franchise to another developer. Then at least that gives me a slight bit of hope that we will see a sequel to this awesome title one day. Number 3 on my list is the Chronicles of Riddick: Assault on Dark Athena. Now, this game was originally released in 2009 and received rather positive reviews. My desire to see a sequel to this title is more to do with my own personal feeling of completionism. I don't really like it when movies or game franchises only have 2 installments, and I would prefer that a 3rd installment be made to complete the trilogy. Now, the 2 current Riddick games are quite unique themselves, being sci-fi action stealth games similar to games like Thief or Dishonored, but with a much cooler protagonist. Story-wise, I do like how these 2 share some connections to the film, but more or less can stand apart on their own. It may be unlikely that a sequel to Dark Athena will ever be made, but if we can get a follow-up to the 2004 Chronicles of Riddick film in the form of the 2013 Riddick movie, then part of me still has a little bit of hope that one day Vin Diesel might be interested in doing at least one more Riddick video game. And with all of these graphical improvements that have happened since the last game was released, there is no question that visually a sequel would look incredible, with the gameplay itself still holding up to this day. Number 2 on my list is Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Now, similar to the Chronicles of Riddick, I personally would like a third and final installment for the sake of completionism, and to hopefully tie in this game to the main storyline, even if it only connects to the now non-canon Legends continuity. However, I openly admit that the Force Unleashed 2 game itself was, well, not a very good game at all. It was way too short, and to this day it remains one of the most disappointing video games I have ever played, despite being a sequel to one of my all-time favorite Star Wars games ever made. With Disney in control, it's really unlikely that we will ever see another Star Wars title that lives up to the positive standards that LucasArts made. But at this point, I wouldn't mind a follow-up being in any media, whether it would be a comic or even a novel. Just me wanting to know what happens next is enough for me to want a follow-up to what was really a massively disappointing game that had a lot of potential story-wise. The number one game on my list that I would want badly to see a sequel for is to see a sequel to Dead Space 3. Now, Dead Space remains to be my favorite survival horror franchise of all time, even above Resident Evil, and not only did Dead Space 3 leave off on a cliffhanger, but I certainly believe that there is more than enough material for this franchise to keep it moving forward. There are comics, novels, animated movies, etc. A sequel to Dead Space 3 could easily serve as a good way to end the Isaac Clarke era while introducing a new chapter to the franchise. Now, while it's true that Dead Space 3 is the weakest installment in the main trilogy of games, and though it may have underperformed sales-wise, I do not believe that any of this was solely due to the game itself. It's clear that all of the major changes that were added to the game were caused by EA in their attempt to get as much money out as they could through microtransactions, rather than trying to make the best possible game that developers could have made. Just like Metal Gear Rising, I really hope that another developer picks up this franchise and either tries to continue this story, or at least give me and the rest of the fan base a satisfying conclusion to this series that we deserve. And there goes my list. Now, you gotta admit, some of these games you would have liked a sequel to. But who knows? Maybe the future will change things. I don't know. So, those are my top 5 games that I wish we get a sequel for. But tell me, what are some games that you wish we would get a sequel for, but chances are probably will never happen? Share your list with me and everyone else in the comments down below, and if any of you have a really great idea that would make for an awesome top list video idea, please share it down in the comments down below and I'll get it up as soon as I can and be sure to give you a shout out. And also, do not forget to press that like button and press one of the links in the description down below to follow me on Twitter and friend me on Facebook to keep track of my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.